The Draconid ship moved silently through space. Its dark hull looked like a giant beast with sharp edges. Commander Vexthar stood on the bridge, his scaled skin shining under the dim lights. He was 7 feet tall with powerful muscles under his natural armor. His yellow eyes watched the stars with the calm look of someone who had never known defeat. "Another feeding ground awaits us," he said to his officers. The other Draconids nodded, their sharp teeth showing as they smiled. For 20,000 years their kind had ruled the stars. No species could stand against them. They were the perfect hunters, and the galaxy was their hunting ground. Vexthar touched a control panel, and a map of stars lit up before him. His claw pointed to a small solar system at the edge of the sector. "Our scouts report a developing world here. The creatures call themselves humans. They have just begun to leave their planet. Perfect timing for us to introduce ourselves." Sub-Commander Zithrul, his second-in-command, hissed with pleasure. "What do we know of their defenses?" "Basic weapons. Simple ships. Nothing that could harm a Draconid," Vexthar said. "I want to taste them myself before we begin the full harvest." On the small blue-green planet called Earth, people went about their daily lives without knowing what waited in the darkness beyond their world. Humans had managed to build bases on their moon, and were now working on Mars. They thought this was a great achievement. They had no idea how small they were in the galaxy. The spaceship Horizon sat on its launch pad in New Mexico. It was the pride of humanity, the first ship built to travel beyond the solar system. Captain Lily Walsh walked around the ship one last time before launch. She was 40 years old with short brown hair and serious eyes. She had trained all her life for this mission. "Captain, all systems are ready," said Alan Garcia, her tactical officer. He was checking the final details on his tablet. "We launch in 3 hours," Lily nodded. "Where are Sam and Kevin?" "Dr. Powell is in the lab, doing last-minute checks on her equipment. Kevin is still working on the engine, making sure everything is perfect." The Horizon wasn't large compared to other ships humans had imagined in stories. It was built for speed and science, not war. Its crew of 12 would travel to Alpha Centauri, the closest star system to Earth. The journey would take 5 years, even with the new engines. In her private quarters, Dr. Samantha Powell looked through her biological samples one last time. She was the ship's xenobiologist, though no one expected to find alien life. Her job was to study how space affected living things from Earth. Sam had wavy red hair and always spoke carefully, thinking about every word before she said it. "I still think we'll find something out there," she said to herself. "The universe is too big for us to be alone." In the engine room, Kevin Nguyen made final adjustments to the ship's power system. Kevin was the youngest crew member at 28, but no one understood the new drive system better than him. He had helped design it. His hands moved quickly. Over the controls, his dark eyes focused completely on his work. "Beautiful," he whispered to the engine. "You're going to take us to the stars." None of them knew that aliens had already found Earth. None of them knew that their mission would change not just human history, but the history of the entire galaxy. At the edge of the solar system, a small Draconid scout ship watched. Inside, Scout Leader Krell studied the human communications they had intercepted. He had been watching Earth for months, learning their languages and studying their weaknesses. "Such soft creatures," he said to his team. "No natural weapons, no armor. They will be easy to hunt." His assistant Drex looked at the screen showing images of Earth. "They build many things. Their cities are large." "Intelligence without strength means nothing," Krell said. "The Trivax were intelligent too. Now they are extinct, and we wear their bones as trophies. The Draconids had done this hundreds of times before. Find a world, study it, then attack when the time was right. They had never failed. Species after species had fallen to them, becoming food for the mighty Draconid Imperium. Back on Earth, people gathered to watch the launch of the Horizon. Families hugged their loved ones who were going on the mission. There were speeches about a new age for humanity. No one noticed the small, strange object that appeared briefly on radar screens and then vanished. Captain Walsh gave a short speech to her crew before they boarded the ship. Today, we take our first real step into the galaxy. We go as explorers, as scientists, as representatives of Earth. What we find will open a new chapter in human history. The crew took their positions. The countdown began. Engines fired, pushing against Earth's gravity. The horizon rose slowly at first, then faster and faster until it broke free of the atmosphere and entered orbit. All systems working perfectly. Kevin reported from the engine room. "We are ready for deep space when you give the order, Captain." Lily took a deep breath. "Set course for Alpha Centauri. Let's see what's out there." The horizon turned away from Earth and began to accelerate. It would take months to reach the edge of the solar system, then years more to reach their destination. They had plenty of time to prepare for what they thought would be a simple scientific mission. In his ship, Vexthar received the report from the Scout. "The humans have launched a vessel. It appears to be their first attempt at interstellar travel." The commander's lips pulled back in what Draconids considered a smile. "Perfect. We will let them come to us. It is always more satisfying when the prey delivers itself to the hunter." He turned to his crew. "Set an intercept course. We will meet this human ship before it reaches its destination. I want to study these creatures up close before we begin the invasion." The massive Draconid warship changed direction, moving to intercept the much smaller human vessel. On board the Horizon, the crew celebrated their successful launch. They sent messages back to Earth, reporting that everything was going as planned. They had no idea they were being hunted. They had no idea that their mission of exploration would soon become a fight for survival. They had no idea that humans possessed something that would make the greatest predators in the galaxy fear them. The journey to the stars had begun, and so had humanity's most dangerous test. 3 months passed on the horizon. The Earth ship moved steadily through the solar system, past the orbit of Mars, past the asteroid belt, and beyond Jupiter. The crew settled into their routines. Every day they ran tests, collected data, and prepared for the long journey ahead. Captain Lily Walsh sat in her private quarters recording her daily log. Day 92 of our mission. All systems continue to function normally. Crew morale remains high despite the isolation. Dr. Powell's experiments on plant growth in zero gravity show promising results. We expect to reach the outer edge of our solar system within 2 weeks. She paused, looking at the small photo of her daughter on her desk. "I miss home, but every day brings us closer to making history." A knock on her door interrupted her thoughts. Alan Garcia entered, his face tense. "Captain, we've detected something strange. An object is moving toward us at high speed. It's not on any known flight path from Earth, and it's too large to be natural." Lily stood up quickly. "Show me." On the bridge, Kevin was already working at his station. The main screen showed a blinking dot moving rapidly toward their position. "Whatever it is, it's big," Kevin said. "Much bigger than us, and it's slowing down, like it's planning to stop near us." "Could it be from Earth? A secret military project, maybe?" Lily asked. Alan shook his head. "I've checked all frequencies. No one from Earth is claiming it." Samantha Powell joined them, her eyes wide with excitement. "Do you think it could be not from Earth?" "That's impossible," Alan said, but his voice lacked conviction. The object continued to approach. As it came closer, they could see it on their visual sensors. It was massive, at least 10 times the size of the horizon. Its dark hull was covered in what looked like spikes or fins. It moved with purpose, adjusting its course to match theirs perfectly. "It's definitely a ship," Kevin whispered. "And it's definitely not ours." "Open all communication channels," Lily ordered. "Broadcast in all frequencies. Let them know we come in peace." Alan worked quickly at his station. "Broadcasting now." Minutes passed. The alien ship came closer, now clearly visible through their windows. Its design was unlike anything humans had ever built. It looked almost organic, like a sea creature from the deepest parts of Earth's oceans. "No response to our messages," Alan reported. "But they must hear us." Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed across every control panel. "We're caught in some kind of beam," Kevin shouted. "They're pulling us toward them." Lily grabbed the communication system. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Lily Walsh of the Earthship Horizon. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration. Please respond." Only silence answered her. Inside the Draconid ship, Commander Vexthar watched with amusement as the tiny human vessel was pulled into one of their cargo bays. "Such primitive technology," he said. "Look how easily we captured them." "What should we do with the crew?" asked Zithril. "Standard protocol. Select 3 for tasting. Then we will decide if these humans are worth harvesting or simply eliminating." The Draconids moved with practiced efficiency. They had done this hundreds of times, before with other species. Board the ship, capture the crew, select specimens, taste them, decide their fate. On the horizon, panic spread as the ship was pulled inside the much larger alien vessel. Through the windows, the crew could see the massive interior of what appeared to be a loading bay. Their ship looked tiny inside it, like a toy. "Everyone stay calm," Lily ordered, though her own heart was racing. "We knew first contact was a possibility. We trained for this." "We trained to make contact with peaceful aliens," Alan said. "These don't seem very peaceful." Strange sounds came from outside their ship. Something was cutting through their airlock. The crew gathered in the main cabin, some holding tools as makeshift weapons. "Remember, we represent all of humanity," Lily said. "Whatever happens, show them our best." The airlock door burst open. Tall figures entered, ducking to fit through the human-sized doorways. The crew gasped as they saw the aliens clearly for the first time. They were reptilian with scales covering their bodies. Each stood over 7 feet tall, with powerful muscles visible beneath their armored skin. Their faces had a mix of reptile and predatory mammal features, with prominent teeth visible even when their mouths were closed. They wore minimal clothing, mostly straps holding various devices and weapons. The Draconids moved quickly, grabbing humans before they could react. Their strength was overwhelming. Even the strongest crew members were helpless in their grip. "Let us go!" Lily shouted as 2 Draconids held her arms. "We mean no harm!" The aliens made sounds to each other in their own language, ignoring the humans' protests. They seemed to be selecting certain crew members. 3 were picked out: Kevin, Samantha, and Alan. "No, take me instead." Lily struggled as her friends were dragged away. The 3 chosen humans were taken from the ship into the larger alien vessel. The rest of the crew was locked in a small room within their own ship. Lily pounded on the door, calling for her friends. Another part of the Draconid ship, Zithril prepared for the tasting ceremony. It was an important ritual for the Draconids. Before consuming a new species in large numbers, they carefully tasted a few to determine their quality. Kevin, Samantha, and Alan were brought to a large room with a raised platform in the center. Several Draconids stood around, watching with interest. The 3 humans were forced to kneel before Zithril. The sub-commander looked down at them with cold eyes. "You will have the honor of being the first of your kind to feed the Draconid Imperium," he said in perfect English, thanks to the translation devices they had used to study human communications. The humans stared in shock, both at hearing their language from an alien and at understanding the terrible meaning of his words. "You eat other intelligent species?" Samantha asked, her scientific mind still working despite her fear. "Of course," Zithril replied. "That is the natural order. The strong consume the weak. We have consumed 17 sentient species before yours. You will be the 18th. He reached down and grabbed Kevin by the arm, pulling him forward. Kevin struggled, but couldn't break free from the powerful grip. "This one first," Zithril said. "He seems healthy." The sub-commander opened his mouth, revealing rows of sharp teeth. He bit down on Kevin's arm, breaking the skin. Kevin screamed in pain, but then something unexpected happened. Zithril suddenly released Kevin and stepped back. The alien's eyes widened and he began to make choking sounds. He touched his throat, then his mouth, looking confused and concerned. What is this?" he gasped. His scales seemed to change, color slightly, turning from greenish-gray to a paler shade. The other Draconids moved forward, concerned for their leader. Zithril fell to his knees, now clearly in distress. "It burns," he hissed. "The human... poisonous." The room erupted in confusion. The Draconid guards looked at the humans with new eyes, not with hunger now, but with fear. Samantha's scientific mind raced. "Our biochemistry," she whispered to Alan. "Something in us is toxic to them." Alan saw an opportunity in the chaos. With the guards distracted by their suffering leader, he broke free and rushed one of them. His shoulder hit the Draconid hard, knocking it off balance. In the struggle, Alan's hand was cut on the alien's sharp scales. His blood splattered across the Draconid's face. The effect was immediate and shocking. Where the human blood touched, the alien's scales began to smoke and sizzle, as if burned by acid. The Draconid screamed, a high, terrible sound that echoed through the ship. "Run!" Alan shouted, grabbing Kevin and Samantha. "Back to our ship." As they fled through the alien corridors, they realized something extraordinary. The predators who had captured them were now backing away, avoiding any contact with them. The news was spreading quickly through the ship. These humans were dangerous to touch. For the first time in their history of conquest, the Draconids had found prey that could harm them just by physical contact. The galactic predators had just learned to fear. Alan, Kevin, and Samantha ran through the alien ship's corridors. Alarms wailed around them. Red lights flashed on the walls. Behind them, they could hear the confused shouts of the Draconids. "We need to find the others," Kevin said, holding his wounded arm. The bite mark from Zithril was painful but not deep. "This way," Alan pointed down a passage that looked familiar. "I think they took us this way from our ship." They turned a corner and almost ran into two Draconid guards. Both aliens hissed in surprise, then backed away quickly. The guards raised their weapons, but kept their distance. "They're afraid to touch us," Samantha said quietly. "Our blood, our sweat, something about us hurts them." Alan stepped forward boldly. The guard stepped back. He took another step. They retreated further. "I think we've just found our advantage," Alan said. Back in the tasting chamber, Zithril was recovering slowly. His mouth and throat still burned from the tiny taste of human he had taken. Never in his long life had he experienced such pain from prey. "Find them," he ordered weakly. "But do not touch them directly. Use containment fields." Commander Vexthar entered the chamber, his eyes narrowing at the sight of his suffering second-in-command. "What has happened here?" he demanded. "The humans," Zithril gasped. "They are toxic to us. Their bodily fluids burn like acid." Vexthar's expression changed from confusion to disbelief. "Impossible. No prey species has ever been harmful to Draconids." "See for yourself." Zithril pointed to the guard whose face was still smoking where Alan's blood had touched it. The scales were dissolving, revealing raw flesh beneath. For the first time in his 300 years of hunting, Vexthar felt uncertain. This was new. This was unexpected. This was concerning. "Capture them without physical contact," he ordered. "I want to study this strange defense mechanism." Meanwhile, Alan, Samantha, and Kevin had found their way back to the cargo bay where the Horizon was held. Two guards stood at the entrance to the human ship. "How do we get past them?" Kevin whispered. Samantha looked at her hand, then at the guards. "I have an idea." She picked up a small piece of metal from the floor and used its sharp edge to cut her palm. Blood welled up from the shallow wound. "What are you doing?" Alan asked, alarmed. "Testing a theory," she replied. She flicked, her hand sending droplets of blood flying toward the guards. Where the drops landed on the Draconids, they sizzled and burned. The guards roared in pain and fled, leaving the way to the Horizon clear. "It works on all of them," Samantha said with the calm voice of a scientist confirming a hypothesis. "Something in human biochemistry is toxic to their species." They rushed into their ship. The rest of the crew was locked in a storage room. Alan found the control panel and opened it. Captain Walsh emerged first, relief clear on her face. "What happened? How did you escape?" Quickly, they explained what they had discovered. The crew listened in amazement. We need to get out of here, Lily said when they finished. Back to Earth. They need to know what we're facing and what advantage we have. Kevin rushed to the engine room. The main power is still working. If we can break whatever is holding us here, we can fly out. The ship shuddered suddenly. On the screens, they could see draconids entering the cargo bay, wearing what looked like sealed protective suits. They're adapting, Alan warned. They're finding ways to handle us without direct contact. Lily took command. Kevin, get to the engines. Everyone else, secure yourselves. This might get rough. Outside, Vexthar watched the human ship through a video feed. He was not taking any chances with direct exposure. These humans were the first prey in Draconid history that could harm a hunter. It was a situation he had never trained for. Commander, a technician reported, the human vessel is powering up its engines. Stop them, Vexthar ordered. Use the tractor beams. Inside the horizon, Kevin worked frantically at the engine controls. Captain, I can get us full power, but we still need to break free of whatever is holding us. Lily thought quickly. Samantha, you said our blood hurts them. Would it damage their technology too? Samantha's eyes widened. It might. Their tech seems partly organic, like their ship. If our biochemistry is toxic to them, it might affect their systems as well. Everyone listen up, Lily called out. I need volunteers to donate blood. Now. The crew responded immediately. Soon they had filled several containers with human blood. Get it to the airlock, Lily ordered. We'll spray it on their equipment. Aim for anything that looks important. Alan and 2 others suited up and prepared to exit through a small maintenance hatch. Each carried containers of blood. Be careful, Lily told them. Don't take any unnecessary risks. Outside the ship, they moved carefully along the hull. The draconids in protective suits spotted them and approached cautiously. Alan opened his container and flung its contents at the nearest alien. The blood splattered across the protective suit. At first, nothing happened. Then, the suit began to melt. The material dissolved where the blood touched it. The draconid inside screamed and retreated. It works through their suits, Alan called, back through his radio. Their protection isn't good enough. The 3 humans made their way to what looked like control panels on the walls of the cargo bay. They poured blood over the equipment. The effect was immediate. Where the blood touched, the technology sizzled and sparked. Lights flickered. The alien material seemed to writhe as if in pain. On his command deck, Vexthar watched in horror as systems began to fail. What's happening? He demanded. The humans are spreading their toxic fluids on our systems, an officer reported. The biocircuits are dying. We're losing control of the docking bay. Seal it off, Vexthar ordered. Before they contaminate the whole ship. Back in the cargo bay, Alan and the others hurried back to the horizon as doors began to close around them. They're sealing us in, Alan shouted into his radio. Captain, it's now or never. Inside the ship, Kevin had the engines at full power. Ready when you are, Captain. As soon as Alan and the others were back inside, Lily gave the order. Get us out of here. The Horizon's engines roared to life. The ship rose shakily in the cargo bay. The draconid tractor beams tried to hold it, but where human blood had been applied to their systems, they were failing. Push through, Lily ordered. Maximum power. The Horizon surged forward. Metal screamed against metal as the human ship forced its way through the partially closed cargo bay doors. Sparks flew everywhere. The hull groaned under the stress. Finally, with a last burst of power, the Horizon broke free. They were in space again. Set course for Earth, Lily ordered. Maximum speed. We need to warn everyone. Kevin pushed the engines beyond their design limits. The Horizon shot away from the draconid vessel, moving faster than it had ever gone before. On the draconid ship, Vexthar watched the humans escape with mixed feelings. For the first time, prey had escaped him. It was a new experience, and not a pleasant one. Shall we pursue them, Commander? An officer asked. Vexthar considered this. The humans were heading back to their homeworld. They would warn others of their kind, but they would also lead the draconids straight to a planet full of these toxic, Creatures. Yes, he said finally. Follow them, but at a distance. I must report this discovery to the Imperium. He turned and walked to his private chamber. There he activated a secure communication link to the Draconid hierarchy. This is Commander Vexthar, he announced. I have encountered a new species. They call themselves humans. They are unlike any prey we have found before. Their bodily fluids are toxic to us, capable of burning through scales, flesh, and even our technology. He paused, then added words he had never spoken before. They may pose a threat to the Imperium. On the horizon, the crew celebrated their escape, but their joy was tempered by the knowledge that they were being followed, and that Earth remained unaware of the danger approaching. How long until we reach home? Lily asked. At this speed, 7 months, Kevin replied. Send a message to Earth, Lily ordered. Tell them everything, and prepare the crew for emergency protocols. We need to be ready when we arrive. She looked out at the stars streaking past. The war for our survival has just begun. Samantha looked at the blood sample she had collected from herself. No, Captain, she said quietly. The war for our survival just changed in our favor. For the first time, the predators have a reason to fear their prey. 7 months passed quickly aboard the Horizon. The crew worked day and night to prepare for their return to Earth. They knew the Draconid ship followed them at a distance. They knew the danger was far from over. Captain Lily Walsh stood on the bridge as Earth appeared on their screens. The beautiful blue planet looked peaceful, unaware of the threat approaching from the stars. Send the message again, she ordered. Make sure they understand we are not joking. Alan nodded and repeated the transmission they had been sending for months. This is the Horizon. We have made contact with hostile aliens called Draconids. They eat other intelligent species. They are following us to Earth. Prepare for defense. Our blood is toxic to them. Repeat, human blood and bodily fluids are harmful to these aliens. At first, Earth had not believed them. The messages were thought to be a prank or a malfunction. But as the Horizon got closer and provided more details, officials began to take the warning seriously. Now, as they approached Earth orbit, they could see signs that the world had listened. Space stations had new weapons attached. Military ships moved in defensive patterns. Earth was preparing for war. Captain, we're being hailed by Earth Defense Command, Alan reported. A stern face appeared on the main screen. Horizon, this is General Frank Carter of Earth Defense. We've received your warnings. How much time do we have? The Draconid ship is about 3 days behind us, Lily replied, but that's just one ship. Their main fleet could arrive any time after that. The general nodded. We've been busy since your first messages reached us. Get your ship down to the, North American landing zone. We need your crew to share everything you know. The Horizon landed at a military base in Nevada. Armed guards surrounded the ship, not out of fear of the crew, but for their protection. The moment they stepped outside, they knew the world had changed. Soldiers wore new types of armor. Weapons looked more advanced than when they had left. Humanity had been working hard to prepare. In a large underground room, Lily, Samantha, Alan, and Kevin sat with military and scientific leaders from around the world. They told their story in detail, the capture, the discovery of their toxic effect on the aliens, and their escape. Dr. Samantha Powell placed a vial of blood on the table. I've been studying this during our journey home. There's a protein in human blood that reacts with Draconid biology. It causes a chemical burn on contact. Their tissues literally dissolve when exposed to our fluids. General Carter leaned forward. So every human on Earth is a walking chemical weapon against these predators? Exactly, Samantha nodded. Our sweat, tears, blood, saliva, all toxic to them. Even our touch seems to cause them discomfort through minor transfers of oils from our skin. A scientist raised her hand. Could we weaponize this? Create delivery systems for human biological material? We already have, Kevin said. He opened a case and showed them designs he had worked on during the journey home. Blood-filled bullets, spray devices for sweat and other fluids, even bombs that can spread dried blood over a wide area when they explode. The room was silent as they considered these weapons. Using human fluids as weapons seemed disturbing, but against enemies who planned to eat them, moral concerns were secondary to survival. "We've been preparing in other ways too," General Carter said. "Since your first messages, we've built orbital defenses, improved our ships, and created new weapons. But this biological advantage could be the key to our survival." 3 days later, the Draconid scout ship arrived in Earth orbit. It was soon joined by 5 more ships, each larger than the last. Commander Vexthar stood on his bridge, looking down at the blue planet with mixed feelings. Normally, seeing a new world to conquer filled him with hunger and excitement. Now he felt caution. "Scan their defenses," he ordered. "They have primitive weapons in orbit," an officer reported. "Nothing that should concern us, but they have been busy building them since the scout ship returned." Vexthar nodded. "They know we are coming. They have prepared." He turned to Zithrul, who had recovered from his exposure to human blood but still bore scars on his mouth. "What do the tests show?" Zithrul's face showed displeasure. "The tests confirm it. All human bodily fluids are highly toxic to our kind. Their blood, sweat, tears, and saliva contain compounds that break down our cellular structure on contact. Even their breath contains trace amounts that can cause irritation with prolonged exposure." Vexthar considered this information. In 20,000 years of consuming other species, the Draconids had never encountered one that was poisonous to them. It challenged everything they believed about their place in the galaxy. "Options?" he asked his officers. "We could bombard the planet from orbit," one suggested, "destroy their civilization without direct contact. And waste all that land, all those resources," another objected. "The Imperium wants planets to colonize, not dead rocks." Vexthar made his decision. "We will send down troops in full protective gear, test their defenses, see if these humans have truly found ways to weaponize their toxic nature. Then we decide if this world is worth the risk." On Earth, warning sirens blared as Draconid landing ships descended toward major cities. People rushed to shelters, but many also moved to defensive positions. Every human now knew they carried the most effective weapon against the invaders within their own bodies. In Washington, D.C., Kevin and Alan stood with a unit of soldiers. All carried special weapons designed to deliver human biological material to the aliens. Around their necks hung vials of their own blood, ready to be used as a last resort. "They're coming down near the National Mall," a soldier reported. Kevin gripped his weapon tightly. "Remember, aim for gaps in their armor. Even a small amount of blood will hurt them." The first Draconid troops appeared, wearing sealed suits that covered every inch of their bodies. They moved cautiously, weapons ready, scanning for humans. Alan gave the signal. Soldiers fired special bullets that contained human blood. Where they hit the Draconid suits, the material began to smoke and dissolve. Gaps appeared in their protection. Some aliens fell immediately as the toxic human compounds reached their skin. More Draconids landed. The battle intensified. Despite their superior technology, the aliens found themselves at a devastating disadvantage. Every injury to a human soldier released blood that became a weapon. Special sprayers filled the air with a fine mist of human sweat and other fluids, making whole areas impassable to the invaders. Similar scenes played out in cities around the world. The Draconids had superior weapons and strength, but humans had turned their own biology into a defense that the predators could not overcome. In London, human scientists released drones that sprayed diluted blood over Draconid forces. In Tokyo, defensive lines used pressurized blood cannons that could hit targets from a distance. In Rio de Janeiro, emergency teams collected blood from volunteers to supply the front lines. Humanity had united in a way never seen before. Every person was both a weapon and ammunition factory against the invaders. On his ship, Vexthar watched the disaster unfold. Reports from ground forces were alarming. Human defenders were using their toxic biology in ways his strategists had never imagined. Draconid troops were dying not from human weapons but from exposure to human bodily fluids. "Recall all forces," he ordered. "This attack has failed." As the surviving Draconid troops retreated to their ships, Vexthar faced the most difficult decision of his long career. For the first time, the Draconid Imperium had found a species it could not simply consume. These humans were not just prey with unusual defenses, they were a genuine threat. Vexthar opened a channel to the human leaders. On Earth, General Carter and Captain Walsh received the transmission. Humans, Vexthar's voice came through translators. You have proven yourselves to be unlike any species we have encountered. Your natural toxicity to our kind makes you inedible. The Draconid commander seemed to struggle with this concept. We will withdraw from your world for now, but know this. The Imperium does not forget, and it does not forgive. We will find a way to overcome your advantage. The transmission ended. The Draconid ships began to move away from Earth. Is it over? Someone asked. Lily shook her head. No, it's just beginning. They'll be back with new strategies, new protections, but now the galaxy knows something it didn't know before. What's that? General Carter asked. That humans are not easy prey, that we can defend ourselves against even the most advanced predators, that for the first time in their history the hunters have something to fear. In space, the Draconid fleet moved away from Earth, but not too far. Vexthar had a new mission now, not to consume these humans, but to study them, to find weaknesses, to learn how to overcome their toxic nature. For the first time in 20,000 years of hunting across the stars, the Draconid Imperium had found a species that could fight back. The balance of power in the galaxy was about to change forever. 2 years passed since the first Draconid attack on Earth. Humanity had used this time wisely. Every nation worked together in ways never seen before. Old enemies became allies against a common threat from the stars. The knowledge that every human carried a natural weapon against the aliens gave people hope and purpose. Captain Lily Walsh now led Earth's first real space fleet. The Horizon had been just an explorer, but the ships she commanded now were built for war. Each carried special weapons designed by Kevin and other engineers, devices that could deliver human biological material over great distances. Fleet status. Report, Lily asked as she stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Guardian. Alan, now her second-in-command, checked his screens. All 20 ships ready, Captain. Defense satellites in position around Earth, Mars, and the Moon. Early warning. System is active to at least 3 light-years out. Lily nodded with satisfaction. And Project SHIELD? Dr. Powell reports it's ready for testing. Samantha had become the head of Earth's biological defense research. Her team had worked tirelessly to understand why human biology was toxic to the Draconids. Now they had created something that could change the course of the war forever. In her laboratory beneath Geneva, Switzerland, Samantha looked at the large device her team had built. It didn't look impressive, just a series of containers connected to a transmission system. But inside those containers was humanity's new hope. The bioconverter is ready, she told General Carter, who had come to witness the test. With this, we can take small amounts of human biological material and replicate the active compounds that harm Draconids. We won't need to rely on actual blood and sweat anymore. The general nodded. And it can be transmitted through space? Yes. The delivery system creates a fine mist that can pass through their ship shields. Their technology has no defense against it because they never imagined a species whose biology would be harmful to them. High above Earth, the Draconid fleet had grown. What started as 6 ships had become 30. For 2 years, Commander Vexthar had watched and studied the humans. He had sent probes and small raiding parties to test their defenses and collect information. Many did not return. In his private chamber, Vexthar received a message from the Draconid Imperium. Supreme Hunter Kragvoth, the oldest and most powerful Draconid alive, appeared on his screen. Commander, your reports about these humans concern the hierarchy, the ancient Draconid said. His scales were faded with age, but his eyes burned with hunger and anger. 2 years you have watched them, 2 years without conquering their world. This is unprecedented. Vexthar bowed his head respectfully. Supreme Hunter, these humans present unique challenges. Their biology is... I know about their toxic nature, Kragvoth interrupted, but they are still just prey, with primitive technology. and limited space presence. I am coming personally to oversee the final conquest of this world. The entire Consumption Crusade fleet accompanies me. Vexithar's eyes widened. The Consumption Crusade was the largest fleet in the Imperium, only deployed when a species showed unusual resistance. It contained thousands of ships and millions of warriors. We will arrive within 30 days, Krogvoth continued. Prepare for our coming. This human problem will be solved once and for all. As the transmission ended, Vexithar felt an emotion rare for a Draconid. Doubt. He had seen what humans could do, how quickly they adapted, how effectively they used their toxic advantage, but he could not disobey the Supreme Hunter. On Earth, the early warning system detected a massive energy surge from deep space. Lily was called to an emergency meeting with world leaders. Our long-range sensors have detected what appears to be a wormhole opening, a scientist explained, showing images on a large screen. Something big is coming, much bigger than what we've faced before. General Carter looked grim. How long do we have? About a month before they arrive. Lily stood up. Then we need to accelerate all our plans. Dr. Powell, is Project SHIELD ready for full deployment? Samantha nodded. The bioconverter works. We can begin installation on all ships and orbital platforms immediately. Do it, Lily ordered. And we need to move forward with Operation First Strike. We can't wait for them to bring the fight to us again. Operation First Strike was humanity's most ambitious plan yet. Instead of simply defending Earth, they would take the fight to the Draconids. A fleet of ships would attack the existing Draconid forces before the reinforcements arrived. For 3 weeks, Earth prepared. Workers labored day and night to equip ships with the new bioconverters. Volunteers gave blood and other samples to provide the raw materials. Every available resource was directed toward the coming battle. Finally, the day arrived. Captain Walsh stood before the crews of 20 warships. Their faces showed determination mixed with fear. None of them had ever fought a space battle before. 2 years ago, humans hadn't even known aliens existed. Today we do something no species has done in 20,000 years, Lily told them. We take the fight to the Draconids. We show them that humans are not prey to be consumed, but equals to be respected. Every one of you carries within your body the most powerful weapon against these predators. Remember that when you face them. The sign. Fleet launched from Earth orbit, heading directly toward the Draconid ships that had been watching them for 2 years. As they approached, Lily opened a communication channel. Commander Vexthar, this is Captain Lily Walsh of Earth. For 2 years, you have threatened our world. Now we bring the fight to you. Withdraw from our solar system immediately or face the consequences. On his bridge, Vexithar was surprised by the human fleet's approach. Such boldness from prey was unheard of. But he had his orders. Captain Walsh, he responded, your courage is noted, but misplaced. The Supreme Hunter himself comes with the Consumption Crusade. Your species' fate is sealed. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. We choose neither surrender nor death, Lily replied. We choose to fight. With that, the human fleet opened fire, but instead of conventional weapons, they launched special missiles that exploded near the Draconid ships, releasing clouds of synthesized human biochemical compounds. The bioconverters worked exactly as Samantha had designed, creating a mist that passed through the alien shields. When the mist contacted the hulls of the Draconid ships, the effect was immediate and devastating. The partly organic material of their vessels began to dissolve. Alarms blared throughout the Draconid fleet as systems failed and hull breaches spread. Vexithar watched in horror as his mighty warships began to fall apart around him. How is this possible? He demanded. Their weapons should not affect us this way. They've found a way to weaponize their biological toxicity on a massive scale, an officer reported, panic evident in his voice. Our ships are dying. The Draconid fleet attempted to fight back, firing energy weapons at the human ships. Some found their targets, disabling 3 Earth vessels, but the humans pressed their attack, releasing more of the toxic mist with each passing minute. On the Guardian, Lily directed the battle with calm efficiency. Focus on their flagship, she ordered. We need to take out their command structure. The Yadi. Human ships concentrated their fire on Vexthar's vessel. The massive Draconid warship began to break apart as the synthesized human compounds ate through its systems. Abandon ship, Vexthar finally ordered. All warriors to escape pods. As the Draconid crews fled their dying vessels, the human fleet began to target the escape pods, not to destroy them but to coat them with the same toxic mist. Soon, even these small craft were compromised, their life support systems failing as the human biochemical agents did their work. In just 3 hours, the battle was over. The Draconid fleet that had threatened Earth for 2 years was destroyed, or disabled. Vexthar and the survivors were captured, their protective suits gradually failing as the human compounds continued to eat through them. Lily stood before the captured Draconid commander. A special containment field kept her separated from him, protecting him from direct exposure to human biology. Your reinforcements are still coming, Vexthar said defiantly. The consumption crusade cannot be stopped. Perhaps not, Lily agreed, but we've prepared a special message for them. Earth had 1 month before the main Draconid fleet arrived. They used this time to spread the synthesized human compounds throughout the solar system. Defensive rings were created around Earth, Mars, and the Moon. Every ship, satellite, and station was equipped with bioconverters. When the Draconid consumption crusade arrived through the wormhole, Supreme Hunter Kragvoth was shocked to find no sign of Vexthar's fleet. Instead, a single human ship waited, broadcasting a message on all frequencies. The message showed footage of the recent battle, of Draconid ships dissolving under the attack of human biological compounds. It showed captured Draconids suffering from exposure to human biochemistry, and it showed the massive defensive system now surrounding Earth and its colonies. This is humanity's only warning, Lily's voice declared. Our biology is toxic to your kind. We have weaponized this fact on a scale you cannot imagine. Any approach to our worlds will result in the same fate that befell your advance fleet. We do not wish to destroy you, but we will not be prey. Supreme. Hunter Kragvoth had lived for over 500 years. He had personally consumed representatives from a dozen sentient species, NN,